Madam Speaker, I make a point of order that the consideration of this resolution is in violation of the House rules that we just passed, in which a new section was created to Rule 21 that required at least 3 days' notice to consider legislation, that it be posted on the Internet and we have a chance to review it. It is particularly important in this case since we're dealing with a constitutional issue, one that is without precedent, and I insist on the point of order.
The chair must observe that the rule cited applies to bills and joint resolutions.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
And pursuant to the rule, all points of order are waived.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman will state.
Am I to understand that under the rules that were just passed, they're already being exempting this resolution, which is of a question of the interpretation of the Constitution of the United States, that it's already being waived, that that new rule requiring 3 days is already being waived?
The rule that the gentleman cites only applies to bills and joint resolutions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Pursuant to Section 3 of House Resolution 26, the gentleman from California, Mr. Dreyer, and the gentleman from New York, Mr. Weiner, each will control 2 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I am going to be... House is not in order, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman's correct. The House is not in order. The House will be in order. House needs to be in order. Members and staff will take their conversations from the floor. The gentleman
Madam
from
Speaker,
California.
I'm going to be the only speaker on our side, so I will reserve the balance of our time.
The gentleman from California reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from New York.
I thank you. I thought that the chairman was going to say that he was going to be brief. Well, you had no choice with this rule. It's a pretty short one. And I just want to say in the brief 2 minutes that we have here that this is a pretty important issue that we're faced with. And I should say just at the outset that I have the greatest respect for my friend Mr. Sessions. I consider him to be a friend, and I hope to get to know Mr. Fitzpatrick as well and to call him a friend as well. But what we're dealing with today is perhaps the most basic test that we have of whether we're going to take legislation seriously. To the great credit of the maker of this resolution, which we just got, it stipulates right in the first couple of sections we violated the Constitution on our very first day. The constitutional requirement for oath was violated, and I give you great credit for recognizing that in the resolution. Now, you do say that it created nullities, which is frankly a way of saying we operated outside this document on the same day we were reading it. When Mr. Sessions and Mr. Fitzpatrick stood up in front of a television set and held their right hand up, not unlike about 2,000 of my constituents, I suspect, they were violating a very important part of these proceedings. And yet we have a grand total of 2 minutes on each side, Mr. Dreyer and to my colleagues, in which to debate how to fix that infirmity. Mr. Sessions presided over the Rules Committee during a large portion in which he was not even a duly sworn member of the United States Congress. Yet we're doing nothing to go back and see was that participation influenced proceedings at all. I strongly urge my colleagues to vote against this resolution, not because Mr. Fitzpatrick and Mr. Sessions are not members of Congress. They clearly are, and I congratulate them. But because for the first time in American history, the first time in the history of this body, we are going to pass a fix of a constitutional infirmity with, wait for it, 4 minutes of debate when we didn't have the bill until just now. And I strongly urge my colleagues to think about the precedent this sets. And I ask you now, I ask the consent of the chairman for an additional just 1 minute so we can have an understanding here.
I have no authority to do that. This is under the rule that...
No, if the gentleman will yield...
I don't have the authority to do that. We're living under this rule.
No, the gentleman may yield to unanimous consent request.
The House will be in order.
Only you, Mr. Dreyer, have the ability to accede to a unanimous consent request.
Does the gentleman from California yield for that?
I have my time, and I will be utilizing that, Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from New York's time has expired. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate the fact that my friend from New York has stated his respect for Mr. Sessions and Mr. Fitzpatrick. These two individuals were in this Capitol. They were in this Capitol when they took the oath of office. They didn't happen to be in this exact room. Under the standard of collegiality in Jefferson's manual, it is indicated that they have to be within the proximity of the Speaker. Madam Speaker, any member who does not vote in favor of this resolution, any member who does not vote in favor of this resolution is allowing the problem to persist. This resolution rectifies the problem which we all realize has happened, and I believe that we have a responsibility to this institution, we have a responsibility to the Constitution, we have a responsibility to the American people, and this resolution rectifies a problem that has existed.
Will the gentleman
With
yield?
that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back
Parliamentary
the balance of
inquiry,
his
Madam
time.
Speaker.
All time for debate
Parliamentary
has
inquiry,
expired.
Madam Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry, Madam Speaker.
The House will be in order. The
Parliamentary inquiry,
gentleman will
Madam
state.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, under the rules of the House, are the members of Congress who are not duly sworn entitled to be paid for the days of service in which they were here and were not sworn in?
The gentleman has not stated a proper
Madam
parliamentary
Speaker.
inquiry. Pursuant to Section 3 of House Resolution 26, the previous question is ordered on the resolution. The question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is agreed to, and without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid
I'm not
upon the
asking for a
table.
recorded vote,
The
Madam
gentleman
Speaker.
from New York.
That's for a recorded vote, Madam
A
Speaker.
recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered.